All right, everybody, welcome back to Smash and Grab Comics. I'm your boy, JP, sitting with me on my left, your right, video-wise.
Is it in the video on your right?
I don't know.
Anyway,
Maybe.
they can't see because
I don't know.
TR cuts.
I don't know how that shit works.
Yeah, he's the
I don't know how that
master.
shit works. But
Yeah.
to my left is the self-proclaimed king of comics,
The beard of comics.
the beard of comics, Tyler. Thank you for being here. And to my right, the wonderful mutton chops of comics.
Hi.
The wonderful
TR.
mutton chops.
TR's
That could be a comic book.
The wonderful mutton chops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, where
think-
would we go with the story like that?
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anywhere.
there's a lot of places you could go with something like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully anywhere but here.
Yep.
I'm already uncomfortable. But on tonight's episode, we have a lot to talk about in terms of comic news. We're going to hit you up, guys, real quick. Sad news. We have to address it right away. But unfortunately, Chadwick Boseman, star of great films like Get On Up, Black Panther, 42, played African-American icons. He has passed away at the age of 43 due to cancer. A horrible loss to not only the African-American community, who really need a win right now, but also just the world. He was so selfless with his giving. He always gave back to the community, never forgot where he came from, and it'll be really, really tough moving on without him, especially just the mark that he made.
I love his intensity, even though he never raised his voice in the movie, the MCU movies.
Yeah.
But yet he was so intense, even when he was, battling his cousin, right?
Right.
And I don't know, he just always had control, and that kind of acting. You don't see it too often. You usually get overacting.
Yeah.
But you could really feel his
There was
emotions about
subtlety.
having to battle a family member.
Well, and he brought something just original to it, and that's just with every role that he played. He brought something original to the role. He always brought Chadwick along with, and he put his stamp on it and his mark on it. Even when he was playing real life people like James Brown and Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall, he still put Chadwick in there, and you could see his acting chops. So he wasn't some run-of-the-mill actor guy.
No.
He really had it, and he was a large talent. He'll be sorely missed.
Definitely.
For sure.
So,
Yeah.
if you're wondering what that noise was at the beginning of the episode, we forgot to turn off the air conditioner. TR caught it. Thank you, TR. That would have been
Yeah.
fun trying to scrub that out of the recording.
Yeah, sorry about leaving that on in the first place. My bad.
No.
It wasn't the AC. It
This-
was just the size of my ego busting out of the room. My
Just
ego
like this
was leaking.
slow balloon
Yes.
just deflated.
Yeah.
That's right.
So,
But yeah, with Chadwick Boseman, it is a huge loss.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, especially I think for the African American community, I hadn't realized how iconic Black Panther was for so many people.
And he was the one driving force that really made that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
forefront.
I mean, even in the MCU or Marvel Comics, for Black individuals, who do they have that really stands up bigger than the Black Panther?
There's
Falcon?
Falcon.
right, but Falcon wasn't a household name.
No.
No.
He's a sidekick.
And Anthony Mackie brought that same intensity and fun that Chadwick brought to Black Panther, but just in a different way because
Sure.
Falcon's such a different character. But he was perfectly cast as that role. But there's such a regalness to Chadwick and
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
to
That's a good word.
T'Challa.
He definitely felt
felt like
the part
a
of the
king.
king. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
felt like a leader.
And when his dad was killed, I like that he just stepped up and took his place, and he knew what he had to do. He did it reluctantly, but not. He wasn't, devastated that he had to do it. I don't know how to put it in words, but
He was ready for it.
yeah, he
Yeah.
knew it was his responsibility.
Yeah, and I might be in the minority of this. We're moving past to the flip side. Like, because I know people have that question. What does the future of Black Panther look like? Do they recast the role? Personally, I might be in the minority. I think it's a disservice to the character if you don't recast, and you're not going to wreck the legacy that Chadwick Boseman brought to the character.
If you kill off T'Challa, I think that would be worse than. I think they need to recast.
You
it.
can still honor Chadwick and do tributes to him, but it would be a disservice to the character. Like, look what happened to like Star Wars and when Carrie Fisher died.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really just wrecked production. You know what I mean? It wrecked the whole storyline because they were having Leia be set up to be this big integral part of the story and the shift within Kylo back to Ben.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it wrecked it. It
Yeah.
wrecked it. And
I
it
agree.
was so obvious. You know what I mean? Because you could tell the movie was just chopped, screwed, and all
It
that.
did feel very choppy.
and it disserviced the character and it disserviced the story. And I really don't think you would dishonor Chadwick or anything that he did by recasting the role.
Okay, so when Carrie died, how would you have handled Leia's character?
Recast it.
You would have. Okay.
Yeah, just find some middle-aged woman who looks like Carrie Fisher, give her the golden ticket of a lifetime,
Yep.
and go, guess what?
Yep.
You're Princess Leia.
Yep.
In the last Star Wars movie, in the Skywalker saga.
Yep.
Enjoy a lifetime of being at every convention and every Star Wars celebration. You just find some actress, you know what I mean, who's a no-name, and give her the golden ticket.
Yeah. I know they
You know
want
what
they
I
don't
mean?
want to have
You're
to
not-
pass the mantle on to make it more special for the person that died, right?
You're
Carrie,
not discerning
Leia
that.
is Carrie Fisher. Carrie is Leia, as opposed to
And it would
now
never
they don't want to have to.
it would never diminish it as long as it's done right and recast well.
I think
and it works
I think
for
the
film.
worry is that it would diminish it. You know.
It
Yeah.
wouldn't though. She played the character for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand.
And I
but
think
it
one
wrecks
of
the whole
the
movie.
one of the things that people don't really know about is how much Black Panther was influenced by Sun Ra and the movie that they made.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know Sun Ra, SUN space RA,
Yep.
they were an amazing band, and they made a movie that was one of the earliest examples of Afrofuturism. And you can, if you watch this movie, you will see very heavy influences on Black Panther,
Right.
style-wise especially.
Yep.
It's one of those movies that this needs to be a bigger genre.
For sure.
But when you find out about it, you start looking into these things and you find this amazing, beautiful stuff. And I would say at the very least, Chadwick's legacy for us is that, you know, he's forced me to look into, because I hadn't seen that movie before.
Yeah.
I knew about Sun Ra the band,
Yep.
but I'd never seen the movie. And it forced me to go look it up. And now I have a buddy who says he has it, so he's going to lend it to me.
You like the music?
Oh, yeah, I am a big fan of Sun Ra. They have over 300 known in separate individual albums. Because what they would do is
The
they
dog
would go.
is back. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
don't mean to interrupt you, but those that are listening on the podcast and can't
You're
see
gonna
it,
hear licking
you're going
and
to
panting.
hear Jasmine going to town on JP's face.
It sounds worse than it is.
Yeah. It sounds
She just
let's be
It's
quiet
okay.
for a second. Let's see. Oh, come on.
No, no.
We want to hear.
I've controlled it.
Okay.
yeah.
And also, if you hear crunching in the background, that's the dogs chewing on their bones. Okay, now she's bringing a ball to him.
Hi.
Jasmine.
Hi.
Sorry, didn't mean to have my puppies wreck the whole
Not
thing.
even worried
They're
about
not.
it.
I
But
wouldn't
think
say
at
wrecking, enhancing.
I think at the end of the day, though, it does a disservice to the character and not the actor to recast
Yeah.
it. Because if you just get rid of, because it showed that it did a disservice to Princess Leia's character.
Yeah.
It just shut down her storyline completely. Period.
It
End of
had
the
it
sentence.
ended badly.
and it was just blah. And it was a disservice to that character and the legacy of 40 years of that character.
Culturally, it's important too, because the original Black Panther movie was so important culturally. It was so well made, and that wasn't one man. And I think culturally that character is too important for us to not get another movie at some point.
Yeah.
I do think some of the people that their first instinct was just to worry about the MCU, some people really grossed me out on social media.
Oh, how quick they were to go. But
Yeah.
what about the character? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
And, yeah. I agree.
But that kind of shows the power that he brought to that role is because he made it
Yeah.
so big,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's and I think that's more of a credit to the job well done. You know, if that's kind of, yeah, it is lowbrow, but that is the power that he left with that character of like, oh man, like they went Home Alone moment. What are we gonna do? Like, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it too much, you know, and that's credit to him. Credit to him. I can see on the one side of it, yeah, it is a little too soon to be like worried about that, but I
Well,
think it's
and
credit to his
my-
acting chops.
My big problem with them is they were doing that straight up for money.
Sure.
And that felt so crass.
Right.
There were people who I did see posting where the first post they were talking about the MCU, but I respected it because they were saying the MCU has lost a great star. I don't know, because he poured himself into this role. I don't know how they're going to move forward. And this man was so, but it wasn't just about,
Yeah.
what, I want another movie.
Yes.
Which is what so many people, it felt like they were doing.
That I can understand.
Yeah.
Just wondering about, like me as a fan, I'm like, what are they gonna do now? You know.
Yeah.
But not
But
from
that's-
going, oh, I don't get T'Challa anymore, or
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't know what they're gonna do, but I hope it's something that really pays homage to what Chadwick's done, but also
Well, this isn't
it also moves the character forward.
This isn't the first time this has happened. Famously, that Spartacus show on Stars was a
Yeah.
huge hit, and
Yeah.
The
Season
actor
2, they did a prequel because
the actor that they had there, he died of cancer as well, and,
Yeah.
and
happened in Harry Potter with Dumbledore. Sorry,
That-
I had to. Mountain Dew.
that was a little different because the actor's so old. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So he's kind of wasn't
With-
as noticeable.
Yeah.
But with Spartacus, I mean, they had to recast that, and it was really tough to watch because I really liked that show and I liked that actor they grabbed, and then
Yeah.
the second guy, he did all he could, but he didn't live up to that.
it wasn't the same.
It wasn't the same, but the show still moved forward, and they did a great tribute at the end, where his face and he was said, "I am Spartacus," and then they faded into the original actor's face, and then it roll end credits, and I was like, "Good job!" Like
Yeah.
at least you're recognizing,
Right,
You know what I mean? The legacy that he started, because the show was a smash hit for
Right.
Stars when
Yeah.
it was on. I mean, I would argue
Well,
that it was
and I
almost
think-
kind of like the first Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones was around, because that show was edgy as
Well,
fuck.
and
Like,
really,
sure.
before that, it was Rome on HBO.
yeah.
Was
Yeah,
sort
great
of the
one.
original.
Yep.
Yep.
And then Spartacus, and let's not kid ourselves, Lucy Lawless topless was,
That was
a
great.
big sell for that show. I'm not trying to be a pig.
Can
No,
confirm.
but
not-
it was great for ratings. I mean, like,
Yeah.
And good for her. I mean, and at her age and doing that and being brave enough to accept a role that required a
that
lot
asked out of her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it required a lot, because it's kind of a tough thing to ask an actress in her middle age,
Yeah.
career. So
Right.
and she's always been great, a fan favorite.
I agree.
So yeah, everybody in that show is great.
All right.
Yep.
So, the other thing that we were talking about just before we started recording was DC FanDome.
Yes,
FanDome.
FanDome.
Okay, I can pronounce
it's
it like
a play on words.
it's a pun there. I call it FanDome, but it's it's
FanDome.
DC FanDome.
FanDome.
Yeah.
That's how I like to say it.
So, what did you think? First thoughts?
I thought it went really well. I thought there was some aspects that were great, some aspects that were meh, some aspects that were kind of just run of the mill, a little bit like too PR-y, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
too like, hey, check out my new movie. Like when The Rock showed up and like he was doing his PR promos for Black Adam.
This is DC's response to not being able to go to Comic-Con, right? Is that kind of
Basically
what
just
you're
not
saying?
being able to throw anything, in terms, because all this footage and all this stuff would have been huge fanfare
Yeah.
at San Diego Comic-Con. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where
And-
that's the proving grounds for any trailer and and fan response. In terms of how it went and how well it was presented, it was spot on. Everything worked. They had a ticker on the side from everybody from all over the world could just type into Twitter
Yep.
with the hashtag, and it would show. There were people showing up in Spanish and Russian, and I mean they did a great job of recognizing the fans.
Yeah.
So that part of the FanDome really was well done. And the panels all went really well. Most of the panels ending with a trailer, or in Suicide Squad's ending panel, they showed kind of a behind the scenes half trailer. It wasn't a full cut trailer, but you get to see final footage from the movie, also with a little bit behind the scenes, and you get interviews with John Cena playing his peacemaker character, which is basically just, as he describes it, douchey Captain America. Hilarious. Perfect fucking casting.
Have I told you why I have the nickname John Cena at my job?
Yes, it's great.
TR, do you know the story?
No.
Okay, you know who John Cena is, right?
Yeah.
Pro wrestler.
You can't
So-
see me.
Yeah, right. So, one day,
Hey, does that actually work on any of his opponents? Because I would argue that if the waving his hand in front of his face actually works, and they're like, "Where'd he go?" I would say at that point, fighting them is an act of cruelty.
That's just mean. Then you're just like, okay, seriously.
That made the camera blurry. It was trying to focus.
it was.
See, that's why it works. But
So-
that he never. It's not like I watched wrestling for many years.
Let me tell this story.
It's never like he disappeared. It was just it was just his thing. It was his shtick. It
Yeah.
was his tag. His little quip. You can't see me.
So
Like brother.
So
Yeah.
okay, last year was my first year at the school that I work at currently, and so it was fourth grade, and I went in and I'm the art teacher, and so they've been with their teacher all day, and I come in and do art in their classroom with them, and I come in, hey guys, I'm Mr. Johnson, and then in the back of the room I hear, did you say John Cena? And I'm like, no, and then quickly it spread throughout the class. They just kind of
Mr.
jokingly,
John Cena.
Mr. John Cena. Then it spread to other grades. So then, after a month or two of this, it went on forever. Like, John Cena, can't see me. Right? And then, so one day, I asked a kid who was not in the grade that it happened in, I said, why do you think they call me that? And he goes, because you look like John Cena.
I'm not trying to be a dick.
No, I know.
I
but
didn't mean to laugh.
In no way. He's so huge.
He doesn't have a beard.
No.
I didn't mean to laugh
your
that hard
haircuts
at
are
that.
very similar.
He looks like he's from the Marines, right?
Yeah.
He's got a Marine look.
You have similar haircuts.
Yeah. But
Because he has very short hair.
so it was so funny.
Did not mean to laugh that hard at that.
I'm gonna like no. I completely agree. I'm like this
This
fat
guy?
this fat schlub looks like John.
Well,
John
I
Cena.
mean, I wasn't even thinking of it from that standpoint. I was thinking of it from that's like someone saying I look like Garth Brooks.
Right.
Like in what way?
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe-
I mean, yes, we both have ears, eyes, nostrils, teeth, etc.
Maybe during
Humans.
the Chris Gaines years.
Okay.
You know what? Hang on. I
There you go.
did this just the
TR,
other
just
day.
instead of parting it in the middle, part it on the side.
No, he barely parted it at all, so it was in his eyes.
Chris Gaines. That's Chris Gaines.
Oh my God, he does. Look like Chris Gaines.
See?
I'm
See?
a
I
little
told you.
bit country.
Told you.
A little too
Sorry.
close to the mic.
That was probably one
I'm
of
a
the.
little bit screamo.
That was probably one of the worst musical experiments of all time.
right. I mean, was
what the
he
fuck
was
was
he
that?
doing a David Bowie, trying to be a Ziggy Stardust?
I
Or?
think he was just trying to be more Marilyn Manson. It was just weird.
I know.
Weird.
Go.
I bet we're getting way off topic. Back to FanDome.
Yes.
FanDome.
Dope.
I wanted to talk about Chris Gaines.
No. Maybe another episode.
You know
we can
what?
talk
We'll
about
have a Chris
Gaines.
Gaines episode.
No, we won't. You're lying to me.
Maybe a mini episode.
Minisodes, midweek minisodes.
I guess I just
We
found
should
out
start
what
doing
every
those.
video on YouTube is going to be dedicated to. now.
Yes.
Chris Gaines.
Chris
That
Gaines.
reminds me, there are a couple 5-minute ones that I want to do with you guys.
Oh, I was like, what? I'm not doing a 5-minute Chris Gaines video.
No.
No, like a YouTube,
I got you.
video for YouTube.
I kind of
Gotcha,
want to put.
vidya.
I kind of want to put more midweek stuff out too on the podcast feed. But anyway, let's go back to FanDome.
FanDome.
Let's get back to it.
Again, yeah. I already said. I think how it went and how technology-wise, spot on, perfect. And again, representing the fans. They did even times where there was 5-10 minutes of just showing fan art and fan costumes and cosplay, and they really represented the fans, and that's what I really, really liked about it. The shortcomings, I think, were almost completely absent from the comic world. DC FanDome was really about getting the trailers out for Wonder Woman and DC, the Snyder cut for Justice League and Batman, Suicide Squad, all the big movies they wanted to get out and TV shows they wanted to do. So there was a ton of that stuff. But what was really sorely absent was really anything monumental comic-wise. And that was very telling. You know what I mean?
Right.
And actually, I didn't see it, so I was going to ask you specifically about
They did do some stuff, but it was just interviews with creators like Jim Lee, who's lying through his fucking teeth.
Yeah.
Excuse my language,
He
but
has to. I mean, he's not going to admit that our company is going to file bankruptcy, and so
At least
please,
the publishing side.
So please do these extra things like FanDome and
at least the publishing side. But there was one interview where he was just like, "We're here at DC. We're still all about publishing comics."
Okay, that's bullshit.
And then follow that up with, "Moving forward, we're going to concentrate on digital releases." So what you just said annexed what you just said. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean,
what the hell?
I get that, but it's a PR nightmare right now.
He
he's
has to
gotta
say
save
he has
face.
to toe the company line.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's basically in a situation where he's required, let's say that you're at a factory that had a fire.
Yeah.
And, he has to go in front of him and go, from now on, safety is our number one concern.
Yes.
While there's a fire eater right behind him that he's not allowed to fire.
Okay,
Like,
if
he can't get rid of that dude, but he still has to pretend.
if he stops, if he's trying to instill confidence in comic buyers to know we're not gone.
I think he's just trying to.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I like Jim Lee.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to instill a little bit of a sense of don't abandon ship, don't run for the lifeboats.
Yeah, please don't go yet. We're not done.
And what I foresee,
Wishful thinking. But.
what I foresee is them within the very near future. I foresee floppies not coming from them, like in terms
Right.
of just single issues. I see original graphic novels,
Yeah.
digital releases, and catering to large bookstores because they can ship them 10,000 books at a time.
Yeah.
You'll see some of that trickle down to the comic shops, but I don't think you'll see a regular Batman series, a regular Superman series, a regular Flash series, regular Wonder Woman series coming from DC straight as floppies. I just think they're going to stop for a little while, and I guarantee you we'll probably see licensed out material, kind of like with Marvel Action and Star Wars Adventures. They're through IDW, and they're just IDW non-canon,
Yeah.
fun books.
Yeah.
And I think you'll probably still see that. You'll see a Batman book or a Superman book or one of the main titular heroes published through IDW or Boom Studios or whoever they want to. But that's what I foresee. And then they'll finally get publication rights set up with somebody who cares, somebody who wants to take the time, and we'll get our relaunch. We'll get a relaunch. We'll get a new number ones at some point. At some point.
I don't know. Who do you think would be good at putting out DC books with their own spin on it that does it justice?
Like a publishing company?
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, I think IDW, to me, they're too childish. I mean, I see IDW as putting out stuff for younger
Well,
readers.
one
a
of
lot.
our
Or
one
of
of the friends of the show had something on IDW recently, didn't they?
They're from DreamWorks, aren't they? IDW.
Couldn't tell you.
I think that's what it is.
Oh.
Something DreamWorks, but
I could have sworn like John Lee's or something had something come out on IDW.
maybe. Anyway, we're getting off topic. I just think you said this before that you thought Aftershock was too small, but I think they would do a great job with Batman. The Red Hood. I mean, some of those darker characters.
I don't think you can go with an independent publisher, though. I don't think you can. And I hate to say Marvel, but I just don't think that Marvel. I think that would maybe come into some monopoly rights.
Antitrust.
Yeah, I don't think. I think there's room for a new imprint. I think there's room for someone new to pick it up because it doesn't have to be DC through someone else. You can just rebrand that. Whatever you can pop up a company that's still DC publishing, but I just think the current state of where they're at, they're just ready to.
I was completely wrong. It has nothing to do with DreamWorks.
That sounds like I have no idea.
It
what the hell
says
you're talking about,
it's
bro.
idea and design works.
And then all the things we're talking about are completely speculatory.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm too far off by thinking that DC, the comics publishing side, is ready to just license out, and they'll never sell the complete rights. I mean, there's too much money to be had there, and I don't want to again scare people who are listening. There's never not going to be a Batman book. There's never not going to be a Flash or Wonder Woman. So there's going to be something published for those characters. They're too big to fail. And you could find anybody in the comic publishing industry that would want to publish a Batman book. It's not hard.
I don't agree.
But in terms of a continued universe like the current state is now,
you think that's ending?
I think they will end it, and I think that someone else will pick up the rights, or they'll just rebrand themselves and rehire from outside and just build a new publishing thing to start a whole new. Because it's a mess. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess right now.
I think we're going to see a lot of those characters, like you were saying, in other media. But I don't necessarily agree that we're going to always have a Batman comic or always have a Superman comic.
I think you'll always have one. At least even just, it doesn't matter if it's original graphic novels or just one-time releases, one-shots.
Yeah.
I think you'll always have those.
Yeah, I do kind of like
easy
those
money.
better recently, which is what I was going to talk about with Three Jokers. But
it's easy money.
Let's what else on FanDome was pretty good? Because neither T.I. nor I watched it.
Honestly, that was pretty much it. I mean, it was just a big extravagant fanfare for the trailers. There was very little comic stuff. And I didn't really pay attention to those because they weren't as exciting because it was literally just 9 panels of people video. Yeah. And it was just like, I I'm totally zoned out right now. This is
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
exciting.
that-
So
That kind of stuff is hard to give a fuck.
it's
about
hard to
when
just
they present it.
yeah,
like
it was
that.
hard to keep track, but the trailers were great. Suicide Squad behind the scenes was awesome. Wonder Woman 84, first time seeing Cheetah in full Cheetah, like that
Yeah.
was great because that was always a question, like how are they going to pull off Cheetah, and it's spot on.
It looks
super
It looks
great.
really good.
Spot on.
I
And
think
then
I'm the biggest Wonder Woman fan here.
For sure.
oh yeah,
And I was wondering quite a bit how are they going to make one of the main nemesis.
Nemesis. I think it's
the
just
plural
Nemesis.
of moose is moose.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if that helps.
Okay, so one of the main moose.
yep.
It's Moose and Squirrel. It's always
But the trailer was
Squirrel.
the trailer was great, and
Yeah.
it just added to the excitement because the first trailer was awesome, and it just added to more excitement.
Yeah.
And I think the real show stealer for me was the Batman trailer. I
couldn't believe that I was
astounded.
excited to see Billy Pattinson. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson.
Young Bill. Young Loud Bill.
I loved it though. I mean, it looked more like a Crow movie.
Yeah.
It looked-
Did it bother
It
you that
looked
he
like-
looked like he was recovering from an illness? I mean, he looked sick.
No, because the timeline. This is supposed to be like his second year as Batman. He's still trying to figure out where he fits into all this, and he's working with the GCPD.
Yeah.
He's working with the Gotham Police to be like their advocate. Like he's a detective.
Yeah,
So he's helping solve crimes that are a little bit above broad for them, and then in it though, in his look and his look of concern is he's still dealing with the horrible like death of his parents and how it's like wrecked him as a person.
Yeah.
So he's not the it's a different Bruce we've seen.
Yeah.
Because usually we're used to the confident playboy and
Just angry. But this would be more of a like mentally disturbed Bruce.
yeah, and he's just a broken Bruce.
Yeah.
Because he's still trying to figure this out, and he's got a little bit of an identity crisis here. He's still trying to figure out how he fits into this. But I love his brutality. I love the tone, and I love how this movie looks like almost like Seven. You know, it has that
Yeah.
Rain.
serial killer kind of thriller look to it.
Yeah.
and that brings in that world's greatest detective.
Do you feel like
That's
this?
what I was gonna mention is that it really looks like it's going to have more of the detective thing, which we've been missing a lot, I'd say, from
Yeah.
recent Batman, especially comics.
You see it.
We
you
saw it a
see
little bit with Michael Keaton, but
Yeah.
but we didn't see it at all in the later movies. This detective.
a tiny bit with Christian Bale's. Like there was sometimes where he used technology to
Yeah.
like do stuff.
Yeah, when he would be
But-
like, "Who's Bane?" You know, they're trying to figure it out, and then they're
Well, he did some bullet fragment things,
Yep,
but it
yep,
was
yep.
so small and not memorable.
Yeah.
And with Michael Keaton, remember Alfred would deliver big files to him at his desk, and he would really try and figure out
Yeah.
who this guy is, who's the Joker here, where's he from, and
And I'll be the first to admit I'm very biased in terms of this film because it is directed by Matt Reeves, and Matt Reeves did the wonderful reboot for Planet of the Apes. So,
Yeah.
and I'm a huge fan of that. And this also
a good
stars Andy
movie.
Serkis as Alfred. So I have a very big talent crush on Andy Serkis. I think he's wonderful. So him coming to the fold, Robert Pattinson doing what he's doing. I've always thought that Robert Pattinson was underrated because after he made so much money off of Twilight, he really had the luxury of picking his own projects.
yeah,
Yeah,
but he's
'cause-
still pigeonholed as a vampire character, you know.
Only in the mainstream because no one's ever really sought out his individual independent films because he's done some really edgy,
has.
I've never watched
crazy
anything else,
shit.
so I don't
He's
know.
played drug addicts, he's played hardened criminals, he's played
And
very
let's not forget he was Cedric Diggory.
exactly.
So
yeah.
he
in
has-
Harry
Oh,
Potter.
that's right.
Yeah, so
he
he's
was.
transphobic.
He
But he built a career around himself that was very niche and very out there. So if you actually go through his independent catalog,
Yeah.
there's some
Good stuff.
amazing
Yeah,
stuff.
there's some weird stuff that
Yep.
he's done, which
He's done sci-fi, dark, twisted sci-fi.
Yeah.
There was one that he did. It was like sexual, dark fantasy sci-fi. It was
was
really weird.
Weird. If
Yep.
it's the one I'm thinking
Yeah.
of, which why I can never remember the names of movies.
Independents are really tough because these are really small movies that he
Yeah.
did. But
are they available on any streaming service to watch?
no, there's a couple on Netflix. Hulu. I've never had great luck with Hulu finding some more edgy content
Sure,
there.
sure. Yeah.
Netflix does a great job of giving you that something. But
Yep.
just search Robert Pattinson on whatever streaming
Service,
service.
see what
and
you
you
can
should
find.
see if you. The Lighthouse is a must-watch if you are a fan of horror, especially psychological.
Yeah.
It's by the same guy who did The Witch. And
The Witch.
The Witch. You mean the Vivitch?
yeah,
Okay,
it's
that's
spelled
what I'm
with two
thinking of.
V's. Yes.
Two V's, right? Where the I know the.
But that movie. I left the theater just floored
Freaked.
by how good it was,
Uh-huh.
and it was absolutely freaked out.
I was freaked.
and
I saw it in
and
the theater.
The
Did you
Lighthouse.
watch it?
I hadn't because someone told me it was terrible, but now I'm hearing
It's-
I should see it.
It's I loved
It's
it.
I mean it definitely is polarizing.
It
I
is-
mean, you either loved it or hated it. There's no like, it's good.
It's minimalistic. It's a
Mhm.
very minimalist
Yep.
horror, but it's so psychological and so unsettling.
Yes,
I mean,
unsettling. That's a good word because I wouldn't say scary.
it's
right?
disturbing.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
in the first 5 minutes, you are forced to look at a witch crushing a baby with in a mortal.
Mortar and pestle.
the big
yes.
one just
Yeah.
like, hands.
But you don't ever see it, but you see it from the back.
Yeah.
And also it's the horror, body horror too, because she's naked and she's
Yeah, that's
she's
just
gross.
you see this
so
old,
it's
gross-
just, and she's just working at, and
she's-
it's like, oh my god, like
I mean,
I
she's
can't believe
stringy
it.
hair,
And,
she's
Yeah.
and
just,
you're like, I can't believe what I'm watching right now. Like this is, and it's all implied, but your mind fills in those gaps so
Have you
well.
ever seen the movie Audition?
Yeah.
Is it at all kind of
What's that about?
Audition is a complete crazy like body horror type
It's
Japanese film.
insanity.
Body horror.
Literally,
Like
one of the things
Cutting
that
off
they
limbs
do,
and torture.
Okay.
they do a sound effect that is so, yeah.
It's a tough
The-
watch.
Okay.
The
Cool.
reaction that you just gave, and the thing is, I like a friend of mine has to use one of those tools,
Yeah.
and he said like that noise is dead on accurate.
It's a freaky movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it.
It's but it's also a very uncomfortable movie.
I wouldn't recommend it as like a midday
night.
like hey,
Sunday
I'm just gonna
morning,
watch it.
let's
It's
throw
not a
something on.
feel good. You know what I mean?
It is fucked up, and there are parts where things aren't going to be making sense at the time, and it's just going to be weird
Right.
and
Very creepy.
like
Very
this
creepy.
really cute, sweet looking, just doing this horrible. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But go watch The Lighthouse. Lighthouse is a little bit more palpable of a film than The Witch, just in terms of some of the content there. But it's still really strong acting because it's just him and Willem Dafoe and some really odd imagery.
Yeah.
But it's again disturbing, and it's a very powerful acted movie because it's so claustrophobic. There's just two guys stuck in a lighthouse, just completely losing their minds.
Him and Willem Dafoe.
Yes, and Willem Dafoe's great. And it's
In that-
It's
Did you
not
like him in
Wilhelm
Spider-Man?
Dafoe.
huh?
It's
Wilhelm.
not Wilhelm Dafoe.
Wilhelm.
It's Willem Dafoe. But again, go watch that to just kind of see a little bit into the darker side of Robert Pattinson, and I think that's a great look into his myriad of things he can do as an actor. And I think he's going to bring a different presence to the role. He actually talked about not even asking Christopher Nolan for any advice because they worked together prior on Inception, and he's bringing his own thing to it, and I think it looks really good, really good.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to it, which I didn't think was going to be the case for me for a while.
Well,
With
and then
Batman
using the
movie.
Nirvana song, it was just so it was so just dark and just. I mean, it grips you from the beginning. With the
Yeah.
tape,
Yeah.
the tape sound.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool. And there's so many cool fan theories about the Riddler. Is he good? Is he bad? Is even the Riddler? Maybe it's Hush. So they're doing
It
a lot of
looks
cool
more
stuff.
like Hush to me.
Yeah, but I think.
But then again, in the new animated movie, they made Riddler the Hush, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry for spoiling it, but
Don't watch it.
Read Hush.
Read Hush.
Do we want to say Read Hush, Jeff Loeb right now? Didn't he write it? Did he write
Yeah,
Hush?
he did.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Shit. Okay.
I still think the
See-
content's
Okay.
good.
The content
all right,
is good.
can we just
You know
say
what?
this?
You know what? Let's not support
Artists-
Jeff. We're supporting DC. Okay.
Artists, just don't be shitheads so you don't put us in this position.
Okay. So go out and read Hush before you watch this movie.
Go buy
And
it
make your-
secondhand.
and make your own.
Last Stop CD Shop had a copy last time I was there on 41st Street.
Did they?
If you're in Sioux Falls.
But the animated feature-length movie, they did change the
Yeah.
story and made Riddler the Hush. I keep
yeah.
calling him the Hush, but no, it's just
yeah,
Hush.
the Riddler
And
was Hush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But overall, I've seen that trailer probably 20, 30 times now. Like if
Yeah.
I'm just like sitting around, I'm kind of like looking at my phone. I'm like, I'm gonna watch that Batman trailer again, dude. I'm like, dude, it's so sick. Like I'm just like so. And also a huge thing to talk about that is that movie's only about 25% done.
Yeah.
Like, they're still in production, and you put out a trailer that's that good with only a quarter of your film truly done.
Yeah.
It looks like final product. I mean, that is going to be awesome. And hopefully everything's okay by the time the movie gets released.
Are they
I'd love to go
filming
see that in the
now, or
theater.
are they done?
I don't think anything is filming right now because that was one of the low points. Actually, that's a great segue into.
That's what I was wondering. How are they finishing?
One of the lower points into FanDome was. I love The Rock. I'm a huge Dwayne Johnson fan.
Yeah.
I've loved him since I was a kid. Watched him in wrestling, and he's grown into one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah.
But the Black Adam thing was really just piss poor because it was just The Rock overselling because there's zero done on that.
Yeah.
And they showed animated like trailer-ish like concept things.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
I'm not excited about anything that you're showing
If
me.
you have that
All I'm excited about is just The Rock. Like that's it.
If you have that little done, do you really want to watch it or show people it even?
Well, they don't have anything done.
I know, but why even show sketches and
I think they're just
concepts?
trying to get people sold on the idea that The Rock is coming to the DC universe and he's going to be...
Is there a DC universe anymore? I mean, it's pretty fragmented right now, and it's just like the cinematic universe is garbage.
Well, and they're gonna reboot it in Flash. I mean, I've called it from the beginning. It's gonna be Flashpoint. They're gonna reset in their own universe, featuring multiple Batmans from multiple different universes working with the Flash, and it's Flashpoint. And it's gonna be a reset, and they're gonna keep the good, get rid of the bad, and then just soft reset within them. They're gonna keep Wonder Woman. They're gonna keep probably Flash. They're gonna move forward with different aspects.
I think they'll keep Jason
Momoa. He'll probably keep him,
but
you know,
I
Henry
think they're
Cavill's
gonna
out.
continue with
Who's
their
out?
decision to get rid
Henry
of
Cavill,
Yeah.
Superman. He's out. He's done.
Which is it's a bummer because I think that he was never used to his true potential.
No, I think he was good though.
I think he
liked
was
him.
good. He was just in bad movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's not his fault. But he'll make appearances as alternate dimension Superman.
Yeah.
Because he's iconic in that role. And same thing with Ben Affleck. He'll appear in other DC.
Are they going to put
movies.
Ben Affleck in this one?
Yeah, the Flash one, yeah.
Okay, and then also Michael Keaton.
Yep. Because he'll be alternate universe one.
Are they going to do anyone else from the Michael Keaton run of Batman,
That I
like
haven't
Val
heard.
Kilmer or anything?
That I haven't heard.
That wouldn't make much sense because they were in the same universe. So you got to pick one of the actors from that.
That I don't know if they're going to do too much of that, but they're just going to self-reboot within that soft reboot kind of thing. But that's another kind of check mark for why the Batman will be good is because it has no connections.
It does.
To,
Okay, so it's like the Joker. It's independent.
Yep. They've established early that this is a independent universe that they don't want to. And that's where DC shined. It's always shined that way. When they do standalone films that don't have to interconnect and
Is
interweave.
Christian Bale going to be in it?
No.
That would be cool because that was my favorite.
I don't think
series.
he cares.
No.
I don't think he gives two shits about any of that. I don't think he'll ever.
I don't think he wants that to be remembered as part of his career much
Well,
longer.
I think he's happy about what he did with the role, but I mean, he was getting so sick of being in the Batsuit. That's why in the third film he's like in the Batsuit for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, most of it. I mean, most of it is him in the prison.
Yeah.
Or getting beat up.
Boring ass movie.
Yeah, and it didn't move very well.
No, it's choppy. It's just like what?
And
Weird.
the death scene. What's her face?
We were
Talia's death scene.
What bothered?
At the end,
Yeah.
it was all but sticking out the tongue. Like, you know when little kids do the
Yeah, it was bad.
Like she's doing this weird shaking,
and then
just.
But the point is like
It's bad.
they didn't do a good job selling us on this city takeover. You know what I mean?
No.
All of a sudden, 1 minute, it's normal, and then the next thing you know, Bane has taken over everything.
And
There's
that's-
no good lead up.
And that's another.
It was just a football event, and boom,
and
Bane's
that's
in control.
I think that's another point for just recast. You know what I mean? Like, yes, Heath Ledger did an amazing job. You know, that's the movie. His performance eclipsed that movie. That movie is not remembered for how great of a movie it is. It's remembered how great his performance is.
Yeah.
And just recast it because you're wrecking the whole flow. Because they were going to move on with a new, like the next one was going to be the Joker again. It was going to be that. So they were going to
before he passed away.
Yeah, they were going to move on and move on with another Joker movie to final it out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Have this huge culminating thing, and it just wrecked the flow. It wrecked. You had to start from scratch, and
Yeah, the third movie. The
it's
first
okay.
one,
Just recast it. You're not disservicing the actor. You're disservicing the character.
Yeah. Batman Begins is pretty slow too, though.
I love Bat. I think actually out of all three, it's the best film, and then Heath Ledger has the best performance, and then the third one is just
Ledger
fumbled.
makes Dark Knight the funnest to watch.
Oh yeah, I mean
But
for sure.
he's iconic.
I mean, because Batman Begins was such a, but that also gave us the problem that we're seeing with DC. Their whole movie universe now of, well, that worked when we made it really dark and gritty, so let's overdo that with fucking everything.
Sure, but there was still some comic book flavor with that, and there was still it was such a reinvention of the Batman. Chris Nolan brought his style of filmmaking to it, which is a lot more filmographer and cinematographer, and he has such lofty ideas about this and that, and he brought such a cool je ne sais quoi to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he brought
pretty
his,
it up.
He brought his touch to it.
Yeah, and I still think Batman Begins is infinitely more watchable than the other two. I just think that Dark Knight, it has Heath Ledger it is the performance. I mean, that's what holds that movie on such a high pedestal. I really don't think it's the movie itself. I think it's him.
Yeah, I think that I liked the movie better, I think, than you did, but I agree that the third one, it just doesn't feel like it fits.
Mm-mm.
It feels like it's shoehorned in.
Yeah, and having it fuck with shit from the first one too.
Like
Because the third one, they were like, "Oh no, now I'm actually the daughter's protector."
That was dumb.
Really
that was dumb.
badass henchman.
Yeah, that was dumb. That was Ra's al Ghul connection that just felt so bad. Guys, I wanted to talk about the three Jokers though. Just came
Okay,
out.
but I'm gonna cough first.
All right, I'm gonna put your mic down. Oh, now you're back.
Too late.
Okay, Three Jokers just came out last week. Are you guys interested in reading it?
I am.
I'm also interested in reading it, and especially since it's going to be done so quick, because it's going to be 3 weeks and done. So this upcoming Wednesday is issue 2.
Yeah.
Wrapping up with next Wednesday's issue 3.
So
I will read it.
This first issue, spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear this, skip ahead. Actually, maybe not even listen to this rest of this episode.
I was going to say just stop now because this is probably going to cover the rest because I'm about done in 9 minutes.
9 minutes. Okay, so what I was going to say is that, what it is 3 crimes are being committed simultaneously. We have eyewitnesses that it's the Joker at each one. We find out, though, that it is 3 different people, and they look like slightly different Jokers. One of them is quite aged. I mean, he looks like he's Joker in his 60s. You know, his skin is kind of sagging a little bit of wrinkles. And then, and each one of them kind of encapsulates a certain point in Joker lore from DC
Joker
Comics.
history. Yep.
Yeah, and so the Joker that, the biggest spoiler, the Joker that killed Jason Todd is also the Joker that shot Barbara in this story. And so they confront Joker at an aquarium where he stored Joker toxins in a shark tank. This is talking about jumping the shark. This was dumb, but I know some other YouTube...
The smiley fish.
Yeah.
Happened to the
smiley
shark.
fish happened to the fish, right? All the fish. And then the shark was... And then I watched this one YouTuber, and he was like, oh, it was so awesome. It was, like, scary.
And you were like...
I'm like...
You were like, man, it's too
corny.
Too circusy.
Well, anyway, because then in comes some Joker henchmen, and they start shooting up the place. Of course, the aquarium gets cracked. The laughing shark comes out, and so Jason Todd and Barbara are facing off against this Joker. Jason pulls a gun. Barbara throws a batarang. The gun goes off, hits Joker square in the head. Barbara gets mad at Jason and like, how could you? And he looks at her and goes, how often are you wrong? Or like off on throwing your batarang, something like that.
No.
And she said, fuck you, and then leaves.
Literally the words, fuck you.
Maybe
because it is a black label, so I was just wondering.
Maybe it might be.
Oh, sure, like
all the symbols.
Ampersands.
Yeah, I can't remember quite right, but it was, or it might have been "screw you, Jason," but it was something you, Jason, and then she storms out in tears, right? And he looks down at the body and goes, "God, I hope that's the right one," because they think there's only one real Joker.
Gotcha.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know if this is part of the real Joker's elaborate plan.
Yeah. Or have we always had 3 Jokers? I mean, that was one idea that was being tossed around online.
Good question.
Or is this part of Scott Snyder likes to do the multiverse thing? Is Jeff Johns doing the same thing with these different Jokers? But they're all definitely different slightly.
Yeah.
So it makes it really I don't. It's interesting. I was at first I was like, this is gonna be so dumb.
But
But
you're strapped in. And
I'm gonna finish it because they blew off Joker's head. I mean, not really. They blew off a huge chunk of it, and we haven't seen that before. Where, and Jason's reaction to Barbara was just like it had to be done.
Yeah.
And she gets pissed because he insinuated she wanted it done too.
Well, it's cool. It's kind of cool because it's always something you wanted to see that character do because of that history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's taunting Jason the whole time before. I mean, he taunts Jason into killing him. So I think that he wanted to get shot because.
Well, and that's been the whole point of a few stories.
Yeah.
Of his, where the point was to get either Batman or one of the Bat family to kill him.
Yeah, and it definitely seemed
drag
that way
them down to
because
his
he was
level.
like,
Break the rule.
he was like,
To
I
break
put
the
you
rule.
in the ground. You know, do you know what you said to me was I was cracking your skull. He said, you said, I'll be your Robin. I'll be whatever you want me to do. Please stop.
Yeah.
And he goes, look at you now. You're wearing the red hood. You know, kind of just really taunting him, going,
Basically, just looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
I'm you. You're me.
exactly. And Jason said he had to own up to his past, is why he's the Red Hood.
Yep.
And with that, he aims the gun. Like I said, Barbara throws the batarang.
Still
Joker
on
gets
point.
hit. Yep.
Yeah, and I think it helps that you didn't know when I told you, but it was going to finish up in 3 weeks. It was just
No,
going
I
to be
thought
boom,
it was.
boom,
I
boom.
thought it was gonna be about 3 months or maybe longer.
Which I think again we talked about that with Empire and like events like this happening.
Yeah.
It helps to be so quick with it because people are ready. People are ready to buy
Right.
and people are ready for good stories.
Yeah.
And I know we dogged on DC for not probably lasting too much longer.
Yep.
But this is a little bit more of an exception.
This is
the
something that
stuff-
they could do. Just,
Right.
Just put out independent stories. Don't worry about a
Right.
long continuity.
Exactly. And that's exactly what they need to go and get back to that for now, because that has been the strength of where they've been publishing
Lately.
is these original stories that don't really have fall into continuity,
Yeah.
but they're strong writing, they're strong ideas, it's strong art, it's
Yeah.
strong content.
Same with the movies.
Yeah, exactly. Strong content. And I mean, it's not even an argument. They have the coolest characters out of comics. You can't argue that like Spider-Man is cooler than Batman.
No,
like
Batman is
you
definitely
just
cooler.
Can't. And I mean, and they're just iconic. But how are they losing the race all the time? And I think this is a way to get back into the race is to go back to basics. Is do that, figure out what you want to do with your continued publication universe.
Yeah.
But find somebody who wants to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because right now
And
they
I
don't.
blame AT&T for virtually all of it.
Yeah, I'm sure their budgets have been cut massively, and that's why they had to do massive layoffs. And it's so sad that people lost their
Yeah.
jobs. But it just shows how little they care, and it filters over into the content, and it filters through into the comic books, and it filters through into the consumers who are buying this stuff, and they go, "This sucks," And yeah, it's tough to talk to customers about. Trying to make sense of and customers are used to the continuity. They want the continuity, but they're so confused about the state of things that
Yeah.
are happening that I have to
Walk them through it.
Well, I have to walk them through why, what is death metal? And it's like,
I
well,
know.
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get the continuity out of your brain and just go, I need to have some fun. And I've done that 4 or 5 times, and they come back and they're like, you were totally right. I don't need to know where this T-Rex came from.
Just know that in another dimension, a Tyrannosaurus Rex became Batman.
And I'm like, are you really that interested to know where Bat Warlock came from?
Yeah.
Stop. Just enjoy it. It's just supposed
See, and
to be
that's
fun.
my thing,
you
where
know?
it's like Bat Warlock, Tyrannosaurus Batman, whatever they're calling him. I think, why are we jumping the shark? Literally, it's so bad.
Yeah.
And for me, not only do I not care where he came from, I don't care what he's doing. I don't care where he's going. I don't care what his friend. That story. Although I saw a thing for Speed Metal, I'm hoping it was a fan-made promo thing.
Speed metal.
I bet it is.
Yeah, I
Oh,
hope
God.
so.
Thrash
But
metal.
it was literally Wonder Woman's on the bass guitar type thing. It's all these different characters in their metal versions, but they have instruments. So Batman with a dragon guitar, and I'm like, if they're for real doing this,
If
shit.
you can find that,
Well, those
send
are-
it to me. I'm gonna put it
I
in the show-
downloaded the
I'll put it in the show
pictures.
notes.
Those are actually.
Put it up in the about here. Put it up in the
Those are-
video
that
too.
feels like a lot of work.
I
I,
know.
don't know if that's gonna.
I know.
Those
be
are
a
just
thing.
1 in 25 covers from Doug Mankey. Oh, I'm serious. They are?
Is that really all it is?
That's all it is.
literally, where I saw it, there was no explanation other
They're
than
just
there
1 in
were-
25 variants.
shit.
The
So there's,
explanation
because there's
covers
one for
they're
Superman,
leaning
one for
into
Wonder
it.
Woman, one for Batman.
And Doug did them all.
Doug did them all, yeah.
I gotta get Jesper. I gotta tell him, listen to this episode. You gotta. And then
It's not the
all right.
That's
So
not the
our
idea.
good friend John Jesperson.
It's just a play on the words of metal, you know.
Okay, yeah. Our good friend John is pretty much best friends with Doug Mankey, and so
Yeah, so there's
we gotta get
Flash
Doug to
on the
hear this.
drums.
Yeah, dude, those are just Mankey covers.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
Flash on the drums.
I bet I could get Doug to listen
Superman
to this
on
and
the.
laugh.
Is that the bass? Nope, that's a guitar.
Okay,
Wonder Woman's on like a weird keytar thing, like.
all right.
Those,
And
yeah,
then
those are just 1 in 25
Batman
covers.
on
Got
his.
it. Okay, no, and that makes sense. But
That doesn't happen in the comic.
But does it say speed metal on it, or did you come up with that term?
That's what I saw in the Twitter post.
Okay. So it's just different covers for death metal, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm being told.
Okay.
They're just variant
Ooh.
covers.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Because I have my phone out and this is up here real quick. Chadwick Boseman's movies
Yeah.
on Netflix, Da 5 Bloods, DA, the number 5 Bloods,
Oh, is that a movie you're
and
talking
Message from the King.
Yeah.
On Disney Plus, Civil War, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, and Endgame.
Yeah.
On Hulu, Lincoln Heights, SNL Season 43, Episode 17. Lie to Me Season 2, Episode 2. Justified Season 2, Episode 2. HBO Max, Get On Up, The Shop Uninterrupted, Season 3, Episode 1. And on Showtime, they have 21 Bridges.
Nice.
I just thought
It
it'd
was
be...
21 bridges.
Because
I said 12
it
bridges.
was all... Yeah. It was all right here in the streaming services. I felt like that'd be handy for fun.
There you
for
go.
sure.
You can find all of it.
Well, guys, we better wrap it up. JP, you've got a hard out like a minute ago.
Yep.
And I've got a hard on.
Woo-wee!
All right, that was loud.
Sorry.
Anyway, for Smash and Grab Comics, this is Tyler. Sitting with me is,
JP Jones, what's up?
and of course, the other guy.
The Enigma. I like it.
All right.
See you guys.
Later.
Smash and grab